My friends were going out and hooking up with guys, getting to explore different friend groups, and I'm like hiding up the back staircase with like a wig mounted on a mannequin head.
Miranda, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I saw the People article come out and I just couldn't believe your story. So I can imagine after the show, you were like, this is it. Like, this is the beginning of my career. How quickly did the diagnosis happen after?
Going into my sophomore year, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer.
What's the mental health like at that moment?
Shocked, devastated, crying. I was like talking to myself. We're gonna take whatever this is and we're gonna figure it out. I got your back.
Our relationship with mental health goes like in and out.
Nothing can prepare you for how much of a toll that takes on like your mental, physical, and spiritual health.
I think a lot of people in their mental health struggles feel alone.
I went to a psychiatrist and they said I had adjustment disorder.
No shit.
No, literally. My sense of future, my sense of hope, my sense of motivation, all deadly squashed.
We come into the world alone. We die alone.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times in these moments where we feel really unwell, we try to like outsource validation and we like outsource comfort because it's so difficult to surrender.
I just think I didn't realize how tethered I was to my physical appearance. I look back at photos of me bald and like I do not think I'm beautiful.
Or it doesn't seem like you had this like why me mentality.
Instead of going to chemo and being like, oh my God, I have to do this today, I flipped it to I get to do this. It felt like the world opened up.
You're listening to How I See It, hosted by Han. You guessed it, that's me. I am here to motivate and inspire you with guests from all different industries and backgrounds. So get ready for personal stories of success, of growth, full of highs and lows, and of course, unapologetic realness. This is How I See It. You guys, I am super excited. We have Miranda McKeon here today. She is an actress. She's a content creator. She's also a cancer survivor. She's an entrepreneur. She's the founder of Fill Your Tank, which is a company she built around card sets that further connection. She's also the host of Pink 365, a podcast that jumps into stories and the science and stigma around women's health issues. I'm so excited for her to be here and just share her inspiring story. So Miranda, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to get to know you. I feel like I have been following for a bit and I saw the People article come out and I like read it through your post. I was like, I don't get People the magazine, but I read it through your post. And I just couldn't believe your story. I think it's like really crazy, especially at a young age, to experience what you did. So I just wanted you to come on to share.
Absolutely. I'm so here for it.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town in New Jersey, northern Jersey, called Ridgewood. I live in New York City full time now, but I'm definitely close to home.
And you were an actress.
Yeah, I actually didn't study acting in college, but I kind of had a child acting stint.
Love.
I started doing community theater and then was actually on Off-Broadway when I was in 5th grade.
Wow.
And got agents from there, started moving away from theater into film and TV, and then booked a show called Anne with an E, which kind of blew everything up in terms of social media and just like career stuff. That filmed for 3 seasons in Toronto, and I had a social platform that had amassed like well over 500,000 people by the time I was in my junior in high school.
Wow, that's intense.
Isn't that weird? I'll say like I wasn't even building towards that. Like I didn't have parents who put me in it. Like they were very much like, okay, I don't know what this is. Like if you want to be auditioning, we will do our best to like set you up with the resources. So I was not trying to like build a career, build fame. I was literally just doing it for love of the sport.
So cool.
And then when a following came along with it, I didn't even know the power of it at the time. So I was just like, like whatever. Like kids in school thought it was cool.
Yeah. Well, and at that point, like it wasn't a full-blown career yet. Like people weren't content creators at this point.
People weren't making money off social media yet. So it was kind of just like, oh, cool to have a platform. Like people thought followers were cool, but it wasn't like, oh, are you going to do this? Like there was no question of that.
I do think it's kind of crazy when people get a following like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's very odd to all of a sudden have your life in front of so many different people. Completely. And this was before your diagnosis as well. So I can imagine you started like talking online, sharing parts of your life just naturally.
Okay, so I literally didn't at all.
Okay, you just let it sit there.
I kind of let it sit there. I was posting like group photos and like photos of like me and my like 8th grade formal, and then like just like random stuff throughout high school, like photos with like my high school boyfriend.
Wait, I love this.
Like it was it was so random, and they were getting like hundreds of thousands of likes, and like I had no
You're like hard launching boyfriends that you
No, exactly. I had no concept of like being public at the time. Now I'm like so much more strategic, cautious, calculated, like all the things. I just had no idea at the time. So I actually didn't even start doing talking videos until after I was diagnosed.
Before I have you share how you were diagnosed and how you found that out, I can imagine going from like Broadway and theater, like as we said, we both were like theater lovers, but that's a very different game than like a Netflix show. Yeah. How did you get the role?
I had no idea what the show was going to be. So I self-taped in my basement.
Love.
I had like a little rinky-dink setup, and I booked it off of 2 tapes. I had been auditioning already by this point so much, like really doing a lot of self-tapes. So when they called me back after like a month of my initial audition, I just didn't even think anything of it. I was like, okay, like here we go, another. I was already like really worked, in the space. I had no idea, and I don't think anyone did, that until after the first season came out, that it would blow up in a way of like Riverdale or something like that. Like we didn't know what the success of the show was going to be. It had a really good team behind it, but like all of the kids were very fresh actors.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I didn't watch the show, but I've heard of the show. It did well. Like I know the title, like I saw it on Netflix.
There's like a very niche, I'd say, population or like fandom that is still on it today.
It's wild. So I can imagine after the show, you were like, this is it. Like, this is the beginning of my career. How quickly did the diagnosis happen after that? I know that you were 19 when you found out.
Yeah. After having that whole big acting experience, I was just like, I want to study like communications and like be a normal person for a second.
Yeah.
But going into my sophomore year over the summer, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer.
I can't even believe it. It's almost unfathomable to me.
Completely, yeah. I was having all my friends over, and we were partying, drinking, whatever. We had a bunch of guy friends that had just come, and I was doing a boob scoop in the bathroom, like adjusting like this.
Like pulling the girls up.
Yeah, like making sure they were sitting nice, like everything was going good. And I remember distinctly brushing across what felt like a little jelly bean under my skin, and it immediately raised a flag. I was like, that was not there before. Like it felt pretty like distinct, like it was like hard almost. So I brought one of my girlfriends into the bathroom, and I was like, can I have your finger? Like literally guided her to the spot. I was like, is that weird? And she was like, yeah, like that's strange. So we ended up going down like a Google rabbit hole. I called my mom the next day, and we got into an appointment probably the week after where they did an ultrasound. And as soon as the ultrasound was like done, the woman's face was like, she like knew exactly what it was. You could just like tell. I was like, I had no, like, I feel like the theme of this is like, I was just like going in blind to all of this different
you don't think
stuff.
It's ever going to be you?
No, also just statistically, my diagnosis was literally 1 in a million. Like it didn't make sense at all. I was 19. I had no family history of breast cancer, which I realize now actually doesn't matter. 80% of women who are diagnosed with breast cancer have no family history.
Wow.
So like when people are like, it's so weird, it wasn't in my family. Now I'm like, I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
It actually doesn't matter at all. Once we got further tests back of like a mammogram, a biopsy, I think like 2 weeks after that, they gave me a call on the phone and told me my biopsy came back positive and that I had breast cancer.
Wow. I mean, I can imagine like pure shock. To be a teenager, we grow up being told people who get cancer are older.
Yeah.
What's the mental health like at that moment?
I mean, I think all the things, shocked, devastated, crying. Also, like, I'm picturing all the different life paths. Like, I didn't know my staging at that point. We hadn't done a full PET scan to see where it had spread.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if I was gonna die. Like, those were literally thoughts that were crossing my head. Also, like, if I was gonna lose my hair, if I was going to have my breasts amputated, like so many different components.
So scary. I think as someone who really craves control, like I would be terrified because you have to completely surrender in that moment.
Yeah, it's like there's not even any choice. It's like already been handed over for you. I also think there was a weird sense of readiness. Like so for context, when I got the call, I had just landed in San Francisco and I was going to work on a regenerative farm. So like I was off on my own. I know, another really random side quest.
Yeah.
I was like still on the plane, like taxiing into my gate, was taking the call on the plane, had to deboard the plane, get a new ticket, get on a plane, fly back to Jersey. So I was on like at least a 12-hour flight that day. So I had the whole plane ride back without Wi-Fi to journal for 6 hours that day. So I have like records of my journal, and it was a lot of like self-motivation, honestly. Like it wasn't like spiral journaling. It was more so like, we're gonna take whatever this is and we're gonna figure it out. And like I like got your back almost. I was like talking to myself.
Wow. I would love to hear more about that, because I do think that that's a really big sign to me that you were really raised and like empowered to like believe in yourself. Do you feel like your parents like really instilled that confidence in you? Because I think a normal, especially teenager, would be like, what the fuck? Am I gonna die? Like, what is happening to me? I can't believe this is happening to me.
Yeah.
And for you to positively swing the other way, I think tells a lot about like who you are as a person.
I think also in like my senior year of high school into my freshman year of college, I had started reading like a lot of self-help.
Love.
And I had parents who were like in therapy throughout their adulthood, not because we had like anything necessarily wrong with our family. I just like grew up in a household where my parents would always say like the healthy people are in therapy.
Like I love that.
And because people normally think there's something wrong with you to be in therapy, and they're like, no, it's actually the ones who are like doing really well, I feel like most of the time, or who are at least like trying to make an effort,
who are pursuing more.
Exactly. So I think that was a component of it, the self-help. I had also been taught majorly the tool of journaling when I was young. Like my mom grew up always loved writing, and when I would be going through a hard time or like a friendship breakup, or felt like I was being excluded at school, or felt bad because I had excluded someone at school, like I would always turn to my journal growing up. So I think that's where that kind of like empowerment came from off the bat.
Something I loved that you said on our initial call is that like our relationship with mental health goes like in and out.
Yeah.
And you opened up to me about the fact that like you really didn't have a lot of mental health issues before this happened. And I thought that was really powerful, because like I think a lot of people think that like, oh, you only have mental health issues if you have like mental health disorders or like trauma or something.
Right.
You know, you had mental health issues because of the trauma that entered your life.
Right. To give you like background on how this all went, after I was diagnosed stage 3. So I froze my eggs before I went into treatment. Then I did 8 rounds of chemo, had a double mastectomy, and 25 rounds of radiation.
Insane.
So while I started off with a lot of readiness, I was so unprepared. Nothing can prepare you for how much of a toll that takes on like your mental, physical, and spiritual health, to put it lightly. I realize honestly how much like our physical bodies are tied to mental health too, and like how after you're sick, or like a lot of people with autoimmune will struggle with mental health, just because our bodies and minds are truly, truly so connected. When I started struggling mentally, I went to a psychiatrist, and they said I had adjustment disorder, which is like
I know, like, no shit.
No, literally. I'm like, yeah, I could have told you that.
Adjustment is probably a light way to put it.
But I think they were trying to make the distinction, like I didn't have depression.
Yeah.
Because I had the symptoms of depression. I was like,
of course.
Hi, I'm depressed. I could just tell, like, this, I am not myself at all. Like my sense of future, my sense of hope, my sense of motivation, like all deadly squat, which is literally like not how I am at all. But I think they were trying to make the distinction that I like didn't have a true, I guess, chemical imbalance or whatever like you would classify depression as. It was more like the symptoms of depression from an event.
Yeah, like you're going through some shit. It makes sense that you're like not wanting to live and you're depressed.
Exactly. And I still needed like meds.
At that point, like anything helps, right? I mean, first you're having to go through fertility stuff, which 19, what? Like you don't even think about that.
Oh my God, so many pieces of that felt so invasive, and I just like wasn't like accustomed to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had barely had like an intimate life before then, and then I'm like having a probe, all of this like sticked up there. All of it was so foreign.
Well, and then aside from like the fear of death, also the fear of the unknown, the fear of losing your breasts, the fear of losing your hair, the pain that you were going to have to experience. It's almost a blessing that you went in a little bit like delusionally confident.
No, exactly.
Imagine looking at that and knowing how much you were going to go through, because I obviously cannot relate. I can't imagine even like not only the mental pain, but the physical pain you were in for years.
So many like, really physically traumatizing appointments, like really just so much physical pain that I never thought I'd endure. I also think just the weight of like looking forward. I remember sitting there like before starting treatment and like kind of getting the treatment plan and sitting there and like totaling out, like counting up the months of how long it would be just in active treatment alone, and feeling so overwhelmed by like almost the weight of like, it was like you're standing at the front of the ocean and like seeing a tsunami come at your face.
And
like,
no end.
And no end. And it's almost like, again, we have chatted a little bit about this, but like the grief that one endures, it's almost like when it's literally not the same, completely different analogy, but like when you lose someone and you realize like they're never coming back, you feel an onslaught of grief and like seeing the future of them never being there, and that almost can feel so overwhelming that you're not sure how it will ever end. And it doesn't for it when you're handling grief. Like,
well, I think there's two layers, right? I think it's like the grief of like your life needing to be put on pause. Like you come off of this show that you are viewing as like, okay, this is like the start of my career. Like, yes, I'm going to college, but like I'm excited. Like the show came out on Netflix. All of these people are like invested in my career and following me. I know you said you didn't care, but like your trajectory is like going towards this dream and passion, and then something completely out of your control disrupts it.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that was devastating in itself. And then the other grief of knowing that you're never going to be the same version of yourself.
Completely. And I felt like there was a lot of anger there for a while too, of like not having the same college experience as my peers. Like my friends were going out and hooking up with guys and like getting to explore different friend groups. And I'm like literally hiding up the back staircase with like a wig mounted on a mannequin head. Like that was what I was dealing with. And I was like, this is just so effed up, and like this is not how it was supposed to go.
I think a lot of people in their mental health struggles feel alone.
Yeah.
Yours even more so, because I think it's an experience that very few people can relate to or resonate. How did you handle the isolation?
Oh my God, it sucked so bad. Oh, even looking back, like I really feel for myself in a way, and I wish it like wasn't as hard as it was. I did feel alone. I really did feel like no one could relate. I even remember having a conversation with my mom, a really hard conversation, and I was so frustrated because we were like the closest always. We always have been. And I remember saying to her, like, as close as we are, I just know that you don't know what this is for me.
Yeah.
And I think like both of our hearts were breaking in a little way, of like her knowing like I don't know what this is for you either.
Yeah.
But I think even acknowledging that is powerful in like repairing some sort of connection. I was also writing a lot during that time, and the writing was really, really helpful in mending some of that isolation as well. And I was putting out these blog posts that really helped me feel connected, as much as like I wasn't sure that anyone knew what was going on or could relate. To have other people understand how I felt, I couldn't even like speak about it and articulate it that way. So I think taking time to write it down and put it out publicly was a way to say like, this is what I'm feeling, just so everyone else knows, even if you're not feeling it too.
Totally. You know, not to be like super dark, but I think like we come into the world alone, we die alone.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times in these moments where we feel really unwell, for lack of a better word. Like, we try to like outsource validation and we like outsource comfort because it's so difficult to surrender in the moments like this where you feel out of control and you feel mentally unwell and you feel alone. Something about this situation forced you to like be alone and like reconcile with yourself in a way that I think a lot of people are not forced to, which is probably not great in the moment, but very impactful now that you are kind of through it.
No, totally. I feel like I haven't even thought about that in that way, but like I do feel like that time in my life was almost a limbo between like a rebirth and death. I was always like trying to explain it as like I wasn't on the same planet or like plane as everyone else. Like I really felt like I was having my own experience.
Yeah. No, I bet. And were you at this point sharing your experience with your followers?
Right off the bat, I was. That was just like so, felt like primal to me. Like there was no like decision. Like I wasn't thinking of making a career out of it. I wasn't wanting to be a women's health advocate. Like there was none of that. It was literally just out of a place of pure isolation. I was like, hi, I need to like connect with anyone right now.
Yeah. I always talk about how like there are moments like dark nights of the soul almost, or like really rock bottoms that like force us to look in the mirror and address things like we haven't worked through yet.
Yeah.
Was there something that popped up during these years of radiation, chemotherapy, losing your hair? Like, was there something that popped up about yourself where you were like, oh, like I didn't notice that I had that wound or that insecurity?
I don't know if there was like one specific moment, and I don't even know if like the hair thing was like born out of an insecurity. I just think I didn't realize like how tethered I was to my physical appearance.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed that that ever had to happen. Like everyone should have the right to curate how they look in some way.
Yeah.
And
I always say like there's nothing wrong with wanting to look hot. Like people want to feel confident and like look their best. But I also think
like everyone has a unique relationship with it. And I think growing up acting and now being in the influencer creator space, like I do think I've been taught to value how I look. I think I've been taught to, and I'm not a supermodel. I just think like there have been like latent messages that are told to us as young women, or when you're going through puberty, or when you get a little bit older and you notice that men on the street look at you a different way. Like there are these signals that teach us that the way that we look can be used as an asset, as a skill. And I think that comes from like not to be like such a macro thinker, but like I think it's because we're oppressed as women and there was like few ways to get a leg up, and so like we've used our appearance as an asset in a lot of ways. And I would be weird if I was the only person exempt from that reality.
Well, I love that you're being honest about it too, because I think some people who I've heard kind of, and like no disrespect to them, like who've gone through this journey are like, losing my hair made me realize that like it doesn't matter. And I don't think I could handle losing my hair. Like that would be so hard. Like it would be hard. I would hate it.
I have learned that there are so many different ways that people go through this journey, and there's like a lot of people who love the messaging of like everything happens for a reason, and like I'm a cancer warrior, and like I'm a fighter. Like if someone ever calls me a warrior, I'm like, enough, I'll pause you right there. Like I don't know why that word is like so annoying to me. There's just like a lot of rhetoric around it that's like I don't resonate with at all. I don't resonate with like the empowerment piece of losing my hair. Like I look back at photos of me bald and like I do not think I'm beautiful. Like I don't know. I think I'm beautiful with my hair.
You were stripped down. Like I don't know how you don't, and we talked about this on the phone and I'd love for you to get into it more, but like I don't know how you didn't have the mindset of, why the fuck is this happening to me? Like, I would be so pissed. I mean, you had a double mastectomy. You lost all your hair. I would be angry. And I think it's so beautiful that though you were struggling and like had to see, you know, the psychiatrist or whatever, it doesn't seem like you had this like, why me mentality.
I'm not a victim. I don't see myself in that way. Not to say that people who feel, it's a completely valid reaction to be like, why the F is this happening to me? And to feel really sorry for yourself. That is so valid. I also did feel sorry for myself in a lot of ways. I think I just wasn't like into the like questioning of like, why did this happen to me specifically? Like, I think I almost took it as like being special in some way. Like I flipped it.
That's great.
I was like, if anyone is equipped to handle this, it is me. My family is very stable. I had a great support system. I was like better me than a lot of other people. Like,
that's so powerful.
This is totally fine. I mean, not totally fine, but I'm saying like there would be a lot of worse people for it to happen to. I also like was financially supported at the time. Like there are so many aspects of having cancer that didn't affect me too. I had resources to get a wig, to get a beautiful wig. Like a lot of people can't afford to have a wig too. And that's not to say like I felt great about it because I was in my position. I was more just like, this is so weird that this is happening to me. I'm almost confused how this isn't happening to anyone else. That was more so my thought. I was like, this is such an unusual experience. Almost like everyone should have to go through this once, which never. Like, I know. It was so strange to me that I was experiencing all of these like life-altering things. And that wasn't normal for being in college.
I mean, first off, like, I just have to say, like, you are incredibly strong. Like, it is so incredibly inspiring to hear you say that. Because I'm very similar in the sense of, like, I feel I'm almost too much away from, like, I'm not a victim. Like, it's actually forced me to have to, like, reconcile with, like, okay, you need to feel feelings, you know? But I do think that would take me, like cancer and like that kind of stuff would take me down. And I think the effort you put into shifting your mindset into a positive way is like, it almost feels impossible. And like the fact that you did that is so incredibly impressive. And it reminds me of the mindset shift that you said you had during this time. And I would love for you to share it because I think anyone should be applying it to their life, you know, whether or not you are going through something like cancer or depression or anxiety or you're healing through trauma.
Yeah. So I kind of started reframing things when I had cancer, and it's been like a common theme of like flipping what was supposed to be into what I created. And at some point when I was going through treatment, instead of like going to chemo and being like, oh my God, I have to do this today, I flipped it to I get to do this today. And I've always loved language and English. And like if you look at my ACT scores, like aced it on grammar and reading, math and science, absolutely out the door. Out the door. When I did this grammar shift from have to get to, it felt like the world opened up, and I felt like I was taking some of the agency back when I had just lost so much control. Like I didn't have control over everything, but I did have control over my mindset, and I did have control over my approach. And changing from have to get to felt really awkward almost, and like startling at first. And I felt silly, like being like, oh, I get to go to chemo today.
Yeah.
It feels wrong coming off the tongue. But there was like so much agency that I had. And I think it was like, yeah, I don't have a choice if I'm going to chemo, but I do get to decide how I want to do it. 100%. So like instead of coming in like a sweat set, I would literally wear heels and like a fabulous outfit.
Love.
And I'd have my mom take photos of me, pop them up on the gram that day. I was like, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to do this in the way that like feels best to me, and I'm going to go through it as best as I possibly can. So I would start using that language swap from have to get to.
It's so good because I do think a lot of our struggle in the day-to-day, especially when navigating trauma or healing, is this lack of control. Like we feel like we don't have it, and that's anxiety inducing, and it causes a spiral to get worse. And I think people don't think about the fact that like surrendering is a choice. Like you have control when you're surrendering. And I've tried to do that in my own life too, where I'm like, okay, like I feel out of control right now. Like surrendering can still be a choice. Like I have agency in that. And I think it's really powerful to actually make the shift. I think words have so much meaning. I'm very anal about words as well.
They are so important. And our brains are like such little rat brains, truly, that they will do whatever, like my brain will do whatever I tell it.
Yeah.
And the stories that I tell other people about myself, the way that I speak about myself is quite literally who I become. I'll never forget, like one of my friends, she's like a self-help wellness baddie. One of my long-term high school friends. And I remember she came back from college one summer and was like talking about the classes she had taken and was speaking about herself in a light of like painting herself as very intelligent and being like, I'm taking all these classes, like I've just learned so much and like I'm so engaged and I'm feeling so empowered in my studies. She was quite literally naming all of the things that she wanted people to think about her. And I swear it like changed everyone's perspective. And now like people will say she's one of the smartest people I know. It's literally because she taught everyone else to think that way.
Yeah.
And I took so much inspiration from that in learning that the language that we use is literally how other people perceive us, how we perceive ourselves, and how like our brains react to situations.
Totally. I'm like the person that like whenever I'm stressed about something or anxious, like I'm like affirming like really intensely over myself. Like
it's hard to do.
It's so hard and you feel like stupid kind of doing it, but it helps so much. And I think it's one of those things where like people don't want to do the simple things because it's a cliche and they're like, oh, well, like, yeah, I get it. Like journal. Yeah, I get it. Like affirmations, but they never do them. And there's so much power in like, even coming here this morning, like I was like, this is going to be the 5th interview of the week that I've been here. And I'm like, okay, like you're sharp, you're engaged. Cause I'm feeling like, oh gosh, like, you know, like when you feel that anxiety come in, like you have to feed something to it, and we can either like continue with the spiral or we can choose differently.
It's really hard. And again, like I think just like re-emphasizing the awkwardness of like using that language swap, you have to be so fine with being cringe.
How do you view control now, like in surrender? Like I feel like there's probably the version of you before cancer and the version of you after cancer, and though like your core stays the same, your passions and all of that, like I can imagine you see yourself very differently after. How has your view of letting go and control and surrender changed?
I seriously feel like I do not sweat the small stuff at all, to the point where I'm like, oh my God, I should like
care more.
And I care a lot about the macro stuff. Like I care more intensely than I ever did about my friendships, my relationships, my work, my career. But it's the little things day to day. Like my nails are just like horrendous right now. Literally don't care. I do care about my appearance, but like certain things I'm like, that just isn't important to me. Or like I lost my luggage once. I literally left it in a airport, so I flew all the way to LA without it, and then got off the plane and was like, don't have my luggage. Never got it back. It was a suitcase full of like all of my favorite things. And I did have to grieve that for a little bit, but everyone else was like, oh my God, like, what are you gonna do? Like, I can't even imagine. That's the worst thing that could ever happen, whatever. Yeah, it was like really unfortunate that my favorite Fendi bag was in there and like my favorite top, and a lot of money was in that suitcase. But I'm also like, I'm not getting it back. Like, I tried everything I could. The suitcase isn't coming back. So what am I gonna do? Like, harp on this for the next 3 months of like, oh, don't have that top. It's in that damn suitcase that I lost. Like, it's gone. Like,
you're like, I overcame death. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, that anger or like whatever, like, isn't gonna make anything change.
Yeah.
So I could either like keep on driving that narrative, or I could be like, the suitcase is gone. Let's rebuild this little piece of my wardrobe, or let's like save some money to do so. Like, I don't perseverate over like harping on the bad stuff anymore.
Well, I think you probably like, not that you didn't before, but I could imagine that you probably value your life more, and like you value the time.
I definitely take more risks.
Why waste time on being angry or upset if you don't have to be?
Right. I also think it's like the Lexapro of it all. Or, like, I'm on Effexor now. Truly. I try to describe antidepressants as like, it just like picks the bottom up a little bit. Like, it doesn't make me not sad or not have anxiety about some certain things. I'm not a zombie. I'm not an emotional regulated robot. Like, it just takes those really low lows I used to stoop into that felt like they would last for days. And it, first of all, I don't go as low. So I don't have as many like, oh my God, my life is horrible. It's never going to be good again thoughts. It's more like, wow, that really sucks. And then I take time to sit in the suck. Like, I'm able to get over it quicker.
Like your rebound time.
My rebound time's a lot faster. And I just feel a little bit less affected by like those everyday inconveniences. Like, shit, I took the subway to the wrong place. It's not going to really ruin a piece of my day. Like, that used to maybe like send me into an emotional spiral for like an hour.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a lot of truth in that, but I also think you're cutting yourself a little bit short in the sense of like you were resilient for a very long time through a lot of hard stuff. I think you do have like an appreciation for life when you go through really hard things. I think that's a common theme among people who have been through really traumatic things like you have, especially when it comes to your health. It's like there's this new lust for life that you have, and you like see the value in like not wasting time being negative. But it sounds like your lows were surrounding like hope. Would you say that's true?
Yeah.
Especially during like the thick of it all.
No, totally. During treatment and then even after, and still do, but like really intensely at the time, directly after treatment, was really worried about reoccurrence and just like it happening all again. I just thought that weight was going to last for forever. And I thought that intense anxiety was never going to lift, and that it would be something that would plague my day and night for the rest of time.
Yeah.
And that was super intense, like so heavy and really weird, because again, I like never associated myself with someone who, again, like back to self-image, like I was like, I'm a happy person. I'm not a depressed person. I am a resilient person. But like it took such a mental toll.
Not only are you scared that this really scary, painful part of your life could potentially come back and like take your life, you're also experiencing mental health issues for the first time.
Yeah.
How do you work through the unknown of not knowing for sure if that is going to come back or that a reoccurrence isn't going to happen?
I really struggle with it. And I think, I've like let go of control of like little everyday things, and like if something bad happens, I'm like, okay, like on to the next, let's keep it moving. But when it comes to reoccurrence, I do think that being like my biggest fear, which is kind of crazy because so many other bad things could happen that it's like, why am I focused on this one thing? I think it just literally is out of trauma. But like I struggle with giving up that control, and I struggle with the possibility of that and like what would ensue if that were to occur, because I think I see that as like a really bleak future. And like again, if I were to reoccur like stage 4, then it's like just a totally different life that I don't want to live. Like I really just don't want that to happen at all.
Of course.
Again, it's like reminding myself like I can't do anything about it. So why would I spend all of this energy and all of this time perseverating over it every single day? It's hard to just like make it go away. So I have to be working on active tools. I'm actually not in therapy right now, but I'm thinking of going back just because I feel like I've had a lot of that like recurrence anxiety flare up. And I think that's because I'm getting close to the 5-year mark. And there's just some like anxiety around that. But I have to go back to leaning on some tools. And that's the place that I am in my life right now. I feel that weight a little bit more than I did in years past.
Yeah. What are some of the tools that you're referring to? I always say like we all have like tools in our toolbox. And I do think like, especially when it comes to mental health and healing, like we think that, you know, once we've initiated a tool and used it a few times that we don't ever have to go back to it. And I love that you're talking about this, because I do think it's relatable to go in and out of therapy and to go into using the toolbox and not having to use the toolbox. It shouldn't be something that we're scared of. And I think for a while, if I felt anxiety or depression creep in, I would start to freak out and be like, oh my God, is this stuff coming back? Is my life about to be ruined?
Right.
And I've had to like remove the charge and kind of like remind myself, like, you're a human.
Yeah.
Like, this is normal.
Yeah. I think therapy being one of them. I also have not been journaling like at all in honestly like years. And that's a tool that I know I need to come back to. It's just hard with journaling. Like I always tell people, they're like, I get so many questions about it. And people always think like, oh, I just can't stay on a routine. Like I can't remember to do it every day. I'm like, who said you need to do it every day? Like,
yeah.
I'm very much a person who like journals when I need to journal. I know I need to be journaling right now. I quite frankly feel like I am so addicted to social media that I literally I'm so addicted to social media
queen.
that I can't like I make all these excuses that I can't carve out enough time to be journaling. That's just not true. I think I need to find a little bit more discipline around it and treat it less of like I'll find my way back to it when I really need to. Like I would like to ideally be journaling before I really need to, like just to be prepping.
Yeah.
And those are the tools that I was using before I was diagnosed. I was doing journaling every single day. And I think that's honestly why I was in a really good spot to have that kind of self-motivation when I was diagnosed. Like I felt really prepared in some ways.
Well, I love that you're saying that, because I do think like if we can look at like the power that these things have, we can like remember more why they're important. And even for me, like I'll look at some of that's why I like kind of went back into therapy. Like a year ago, I was like, okay, like I was in therapy for a while, left when I felt good, and then like was trying to really focus on my career. And then it hit a point where I was like, okay, I need to lean back on the toolbox.
Right.
And instead of like feeling ashamed or like beating myself up for the fact that like I didn't, get to it before it popped up, I was just like, okay, it's time. Like I know the signs and I know the power it has, therefore I'm going to go.
Yeah.
After getting through treatment and getting through radiation, all of that, you decided to lean into more like entrepreneurship and your creator community. Like, did the cards come first? Did the podcast come first? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. I was in like a very heavily entrepreneurial environment at school. I was in the entrepreneurship club. My life opened up when I went to college. And in
You're
a
like,
sense,
finally.
Well, yeah. And in the sense that like there were people at USC that I never knew existed, and like a type of drive and spirit that I never knew existed. And people there wanted to be creating. Like it was such an amazing experience. And even though I didn't know like what I wanted to create yet, I joined the entrepreneurship, like it was called like Founders Society or something. Someone had just started it when I was there.
Cool.
It was a very nerdy club. And it was like lots of people who were founding tech startups or like CPG companies. And I was just like exploring it all, talking to lots of different people, and started Fill Your Tank going into my junior year. My friends and I would go on these road trips and ask each other questions. And I was like, this is literally like the best thing to ever exist. Like,
so fun.
I just love it. Like, I love making question lists, all the things. And I wanted to make something physical. So that's when I started Fill Your Tank. And that's now been up and running, I guess, for like 3 years.
So cool.
I feel like all the different aspects of my career kind of like dovetail together. But we have Fill Your Tank, which are conversation cards to go into deeper connection with the people that you love, because I really realized during cancer, like, people are the most important thing. And then the other like more practical side of it was like, this cancer thing needs to never happen to another woman. Like, this is so messed up. We need to be knowing the signs and symptoms. There needs to be resources for people going through it. And I wanted to carve out my own little corner in the space where I really felt like it was such an isolating experience, because there weren't other 19-year-olds who I knew that were diagnosed.
Totally.
So I created Pink 365, which is a podcast to have different conversations around women's health that I felt like weren't being had, whether that's like around sexual wellness or mental health, and just like a lot of the feminine components of it.
It's so cool, and I think it's so special. And I mean, it's the same reason why I started this podcast. I felt very isolated in my mental health journey, and the thing that I think really helps people is feeling connected to other people and hearing people's stories. But I think a huge part of your podcast is women's advocacy and like really bringing education around some of the things you went through. What was something that was very shocking to you that you experienced as like a woman, especially with like what you were going through with breast cancer? Was there anything that stuck out to you?
I mean, there are so many things. Like, I had no idea what signs and symptoms of breast cancer were. I did know that a lump was bad in my head. There are actually a lot of lumps that aren't bad. So I always say, like, get it checked out. But I have so many girls and women in my DMs who are like DMing me freaking out about having a lump, when most of the time it's absolutely nothing. That said, you should 100% always get it checked, and never let someone tell you like, probably nothing, come back in 6 months or a year. Like, absolutely not. Always get a second opinion. We talked about this in the beginning, but you do not need to have family history to be diagnosed with breast cancer. Also, it is on major rise among young women specifically. So this is no longer something that we are just thinking about for older women in their 60s, 70s, 80s. It's raising, I think, 4% annually.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
So crazy.
And very unprecedented. So it's definitely something we're seeing more of, unfortunately, and like need to be knowing.
It was like always just in my head that like you only go to the doctor if like there's something wrong.
Right.
And I think it's like forcing yourself to create time to like prioritize like your health and your well-being. Like that's hard for me to do. Like my physical health, I'm like, I'm fine. I'm like not sick. Like I'm good. But like you don't want to wait till after you're sick or like it's too late to deal with this kind of stuff and get checked out.
It's also like I don't think we understand the importance of like an annual exam. Like my
because it's not stress to us.
No, not at all. Like I had a very chill household growing up. I would be brought into the dentist like once every 3 years.
Same.
And they'd be like, you need to be coming every year. Or like same with like the annual physicals. Like I'd go every 2 years and they're like, you need to be coming every year. Like you were a developing kid.
Yeah.
But I think so much of that, like when you go in and they're feeling around your lymph nodes and does this hurt? Like some of those things you need to be like, they need to be checked.
Yeah.
Or like I think providers are like starting to do breast examinations when you go in. Not all of them do still, but like it's really important. Really important.
I think you have to like advocate for yourself. And I think that's something I've learned as I've gotten older is that like no one, even the people who you were taught know everything, which are like doctors. Like we were taught like, oh, these people are like smarter than us. They know better than us. Like even those people, like you need to like ask them to do what you want them to do. Like they're not going to just volunteer to like do certain things.
Right.
Like you actually have to advocate for yourself. If you want to get the breast exam and they don't do it, like don't wait for them not to do it to realize after like, oh, I should have asked them. Like actually ask them. I think like women are really scared to overstep in general.
Totally.
Like we're taught from a very young age, like don't be too loud, don't be too much. But I really think when it comes to your health, we really have to advocate for ourselves. And I'm very guilty of it. Like I have not gone to the doctor in a really long time. I'm going to take this as my sign to go. But when it hasn't been stressed to you at a very young age or you're taught certain things, you just don't prioritize it.
I think it's really hard as a young woman. Like I do. And I empathize and like I get why it's so hard, especially when you're like young and you're in a room with the older male provider and like there's just such a dynamic there that can lend itself to just like sitting there quietly and like answering questions but not like bringing up the issue that you really want talked about. So I always say like if you don't feel that you can advocate for yourself, which like that is okay. Like we're not all that girl who walks in and is like, I'd like a blood panel, I'd like blah blah. Like if you feel that you need something checked out and you don't feel confident enough to say it yourself, you can always have someone on the phone in a doctor's appointment. Like I would literally be like, I would go to so many appointments and be like, I have my mom on the line. Like she's just going to listen.
Advocacy can look different for everyone. Yeah. It can look like you even like sending an email to the nurse or doctor ahead of time.
Totally.
Being like, hey, these are the things I want. Can you please make sure the doctor knows I want these things? Like you're allowed.
So important. Like you can send it a note. You don't have to say it in person.
Or like, call a parent if you have that support. Like make them do it.
Or like a friend, a girlfriend. Call your like, I was going to use the word like bitchiest friend. Like call the friend in your life. Call your friend who can like say the thing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways that we can advocate for ourselves, and it doesn't have to be the like, no, I want this, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't have to look like taking a big stance on something.
Yeah, yeah. If anyone was listening right now and they were going through like the hardest time of their life, I would argue that you went through probably the hardest time of your life, and hopefully that will stay the hardest time in your life. I would say probably will be. And they're listening and they just do not have hope. They do not have motivation. They can't seem to like muster up courage right now. Like what would you say to them to try to empower them in this moment?
I would say like allow yourself to sit in the thick of it all. God, it's so hard because like when you're in that dark tunnel, it's really, really hard to see out. And honestly, I feel like time is such like an annoying one. Time really helps. And then like leaning on those things that you know actually will help but probably feel really, really difficult to muster. Like I did not want to reach out and see friends when I was going through the worst time in my life. I also knew that connecting with people was probably the best thing for me. And that's different for everyone, but like I really knew that being social in a social environment would help lift some of that weight. And while I did not want to reach out to anyone, I did my best to, and I always came back feeling lighter. Or like if you're someone that like gets a lot of endorphins from exercise, like literally the last thing you want to do when you're super depressed is work out. But like if you can do a walk, there's some like foolproof things that I feel like always help a little bit.
You're not going to want to do things, but like you're going to have to do things. And like you have to figure out, to your point, like what those things are. So I guess it's about having like motivation and resilience to do the things you don't want to do. Also accepting that like you're going to be in a bad place. This guy came up to me for like a street interview this week, like randomly. And I was like, he was like, can you answer some questions? I was like, what's the question? You know? And he was like, how do you stay positive? And like, that's a hard question for me, I think, because of like my mental health history. And also like, I feel like I'm going through like a really rough patch right now in my life. But like, it was funny because like I answered it because this is truly how I feel, which is that like, I think what's made me more positive is like accepting that like, it's going to be lows and highs, and you have to like accept the duality of life to be able to be positive. And so if you can accept that like you can't see the end of the tunnel, like if you can accept that instead of like freaking out about the fact that you don't see the end of the tunnel, I think it makes it easier because you can at least believe that eventually you'll see it.
Totally. I love that.
Because if you're trying to force yourself to like see it, like be hopeful and like see the end, I think that just makes you more existential because you're like, oh my God, it's not coming to me.
Completely. I also lean a lot on like lists. Like those really helped me during the time of like when I felt so ugly and like everything was bad. I would literally write down lists of things that I loved about myself. Or when I felt like everything was bad, I would write out lists of like everything that I did have. Those were hard lists to make some days, but like writing it out in front of me really, really, really helped.
Yeah, and I think you said this on the call too, like clocking the moments that are good.
Yeah.
Even when they're rare. Because if it's rare, like you need to like provide yourself evidence that like there is hope and there is happiness in life, especially when you're in like the darkest of your depression or trauma or whatever it is. So like if something good does happen, which inevitably like even if it's very small, like something will, you have to remind yourself so you can refer to the timeline of like things.
Yeah.
I ask everybody who's been on the pod as the last question, like looking back at everything you've been through, like the ups and downs of your healing, how do you see it? Like, how do you see the journey from where you started to where you are now?
I know it was really hard, and I also see it as such a period of transformation and resilience that I think, as dark as it was, and I try not to like paint it in the most perfect light because I know that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I do think I see it as like the start of something new in a lot of ways, and like the beginning of taking chances on myself and pursuing my own happiness radically. And that's really beautiful.
I love that.
It brought my family together in a lot of ways that we weren't bonded before. It broke us down to build us up, definitely.
Yeah, I bet.
But yeah, I think a lot of things in my life are stronger because of it.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and being real about it too. Like, because we're very similar in the way of where I'm like, God, like I can't hear the like warrior survivor bullshit. So I really appreciate you just being like, it fucking sucked.
Yeah.
And like I think it's really powerful for people to hear that other people are going through hard things and they get to the other side and they don't have to feel joyful about it all the time.
Completely.
Could you please share where people can follow you and the podcast and find the cards, all of that? I'll put it in the description too.
Yes. So I'm on social media at Miranda McKeon. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And then my small business is called Fill Your Tank, and you can find it at Fill Your Tank or fillyourtank.com for our card games, which are amazing and literally perfect for every single kind of person. And then my podcast is called Pink 365.
Love. I'll put it all below. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you leave here feeling motivated and inspired. Do not forget to rate and review the pod on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and don't forget to follow How I See It Pod so you can keep up with podcast updates and see who's coming on next. And if you're not already, come join the fam and follow at How Han Sees It. Thank you guys.